Hi friends, sorry for the delay. There was some issues were there. There was internet issue in my end, and again there was some problems. I had to restart again. So again, we'll let's start. So we'll start to learn about the built-in functions. So before we move to the built-in functions, first let's understand that. What is a function is. Okay, in detail we'll study the functions. So but let us focus on a function is something similar to a repeated work we are doing. Instead of writing the code again and again, we'll keep it inside a function and call the function. So it's easy for maintenance, less code, and all the advantages we'll get. So those functions are quite popular. It's not only that it is there in the Python. In every programming language you'll find functions are there. So when a code is to be repeated again and again, we use a function. So call it as and when required. So a single call will run that same code again, and it's like a specialist who does a particular job for us. Now let's say that when you define a function, we can define our own function. But before that, to complete the repeated works, Python itself has a lot of functions. We call it as a two will divide it in two parts. What Python or whatever we get it without loading any libraries or external things, these are all known as built-in functions. And what we do, we create functions also to do our repeated works, and we call it user defined function. You or me or we use it, so we call it UDF, user defined functions. But we'll focus more on built-in functions now. Next session we'll understand more about user defined. So there is all those, how the variables inside the function, outside the function, that's also we'll learn. Before that, what are the built-in functions which Python itself gives us by default, where without loading or adding anything. These built-in functions, once we can straightway use it without importing or calling anything and start using it. Then when the question comes, these built-in functions are, if they are there, then can I use it as variables? No, we should not use it. We'll learn all about that. Let's come back to our browser. Here it is. We are in Colab again. We had some issues with Colab. Let me just come back here. Yeah. So yesterday we have learned about the reserved words. So from the reserved words we are continuing, because there are very few things were there. So what we did is, okay, this is there already the code. I will just create one more thing. Let me just come back here a bit. Okay, let's start our built-in function. I am writing a code again. So let me just move this one a bit. Okay, I will just read out this. I will delete it better. There are some issues, and that is a learning lesson, because certain code I have tried to override a built-in function, and that Colab has generated an error. Fine, but subsequently it didn't allow me to correct it also. But that same thing happens in Visual Studio Code, because it's a cloud platform and certain resources are allotted. Unless we restart that, it will not go. So we'll see that. So here I am import built-ins. So this library I am building. Then inside that, using that, let me list out. So for I in dir means directory. Directory will list out all the functions or methods used inside. So dir built-ins. Now print I. What this will do? Yeah, it will print all the functions available inside this Python by default. So these are all functions. So already available. I can straightway start using. One thing you just notice that nothing starts with a underscore, a single underscore. Whatever here is, there are two underscores are there. Okay, that technique will use it. Now let's find out what is the total number. So we'll say print total number of built-in. Sorry, these are built-in functions. So just whatever text you want to write it here. So len is again length of a iterable object. So any string, anything, this is the length only. How many elements are there? So that's what I am using now. Length. Now here I will say dir built-ins. So let's run it again. Now this time the last line we will see. Here it is. Total number of built-in functions are 158 or 158. Now this is this particular version of Python. As say tomorrow some other version comes. So this 158 may be 159 or 156, whatever it is. So that is how. Now let me just move up and close this output. Fine. Check if a word in Python built in or not. This is the code. Let me just delete it. Actually I was practicing something else. So let me write a code block here. Yeah. How I will check it? So let me just move up. Okay, here I am. Now import built-ins. I need not import it again because already it is there. If I am directly writing, I am checking this sum. If sum in dir built-ins, if it is there, then print. Sum is a built-in function. Fine. Now that's in. If it is not the case, else. This time I am not writing specific. Okay, what is if, else and all? You will shortly study that. That is highly important. If, else conditional check. So if it is true, do this. Else, do this. There is a elif also. We'll see. Discuss more on that. Print. Now here we are, sorry, directly I am writing no, it is not a built-in function. Fine, let's just run this and see. Sum is a built-in function. Fine, because we know it. Sum is a built-in function. It is Python has given us, because say we want to add 2 digit. Okay, variable 1 is 5, variable 2 is 6. We can add v1 plus v2. But say I have hundreds of functions. I cannot v1 then plus v2, v3 like that. I can't do. So I'll put all the values in a list and Python gives me a built-in function sum and I can use that. Like that many are there. So here what happens? Now let's just say this s I am putting it uppercase. What happens? Is it still a built-in function? No, it is not a built-in function. The reason is we know it that uppercase and its case sensitive, uppercase letters are different than the lowercase letter. When I am using uppercase s, that means it is no more a built-in function. But we have to be careful, avoid uses of those built-in functions. Almost all built-in functions are very simple English words. So avoid those things. Then how I will use a variable of my own? That's the point. So when I use a built-in function, I will take certain precaution because it should not clash with the built-in, my variable should not clash with the built-in function. So I will get a very erratic result. I will not able to understand what is going on. So that is why I avoid it. So best practice is the best thing. Even I use that is use a prefix and use a underscore. Say my mark or my ID, my school, my college. So one or my sum, even if I have a function or name it as sum. So instead of directly naming it as sum, I will use my underscore sum. So I know at any stage I will come, this is what I have defined it. So that's the better way. In fact, similarly, customer underscore first name, customer underscore address, customer underscore say title or whatever you want. So that way you know any such variables, it is a belongs to the customer. So it's a customer details are stored. Now let's understand what happens if I by mistake or accidentally I start using a built-in function, how the behavior will be. But note that this behavior is a little different in a cloud platform than in your whatever the IDE you are using. Why it is, that's what actually we struggled also. So let's just understand that. Let me remove this one. This, then this also will remove it. Let it be. First let's try one simple one. Let's say this is what the difference will come. Okay, x equal to, yesterday we have tried this input, we have taken a user input, then whatever we take the input from the user, it became a string. So we have to convert it to an integer and use it. Say take a input number, multiply it by 2 and display. That's a very simple one. Input, enter a number. Fine, x is, now what I am going to do is print x. Okay, let's multiply it by 2 and print it. So let's run this. Okay, I am entering 7, enter. 14 is output is there, fine, multiplied. Here what it is int is doing is converting whatever I am, because by default it's a string and I am converting into a integer by using this int function. But let me just give you one simple thing. Now I have declared int equal to 22. What has happened is I have whatever the built-in function is there, over that I have told that int is a variable, its value is 22. Now what will happen in the next line here? This should generate error for me. Now let's see. Okay, so far not a problem. I have given 7, pressed enter. Now see, int is not callable, because what happens after this input, when it encountered the int, it realized that it cannot use a built-in function, so it has to go to, it takes int as a 22 as a variable, so it cannot call it, function is to be called, so it cannot use, so that object is not callable. What here the difference is, I can comment this line, fine, I am back to the original, but here the cloud gives a different story. Let's see, this should work, but it will not. But in your, see, still its int is, it is considering it's not. Even I reload it also, it will not. But in your case, if you are using in your Visual Studio Code or in your the IDE, it will work. Now what I have to do it here is disconnect and delete runtime. I have to do this, then start. Before that I should have saved it. Let's see, it's auto saved. Now I am reconnecting it. Fine. Now let me run this. Initially it will take some little time. Okay, let me give 6, press enter, 12. Now it has not given, but earlier it has given me a lot of errors. Look at this code is, there is no problem, but you can run it in Visual Studio. But what happened, it's a cloud platform, so I have to look at this. It is not a reloading. What I have to do is disconnect it and then connect it. Disconnect and delete runtime. Then only this. Earlier what I did is I have overridden the built-in function int. So it was generating error message here. Now even if I comment it, but if you comment it in your IDE, it will work. But here it won't, because it's a cloud platform. Fine. Now hope you have understood this. Now let me remove this. Similarly, one more. But here it's another issue. True, we know it's a reserved word. So if I'll remove this one, it won't allow me to run, because this is error. Immediately it will, syntax error it will give, because true I am using. It won't allow me to use the true here. But subsequently it will allow me. But let me just x, sum is same thing I am doing. Sum is 5.6, print x. Now let me just comment this. Actually here you have to understand the reserved words, it won't allow me first to use, but built-in functions as a variable it will allow me to use, but it is advisable not to use it. And these built-in functions, I am overriding it, I am doing it, don't forget about your own function, do whatever I am saying, that way it works, so it will give a different result. Now we will try this with the sum also. Now here these two lines I have commented, x equal to sum 5, 6. So this 2, 5 and 6, it will add up. This is the internal function sum I am expected to use, so I am using it. Fine, it has given 5 and 6 is 11. Now what I did, I will uncomment this line. But after uncommenting, I am again trying to use it. Now what is the, here the sum is, this sum is no more a built-in function. This sum is, it has considered it to be a variable now. So it will generate maybe an error. It is not callable. It's not a function. I can't call a function. So let's just see. Yeah, int object is not callable. You got it? Even if, okay, here the difference again, the cloud platform. Once I am commenting this, if it is a normal IDE or in a Visual Studio Code, it will work. But here it needs a reconnection. So what I am going to do is disconnect and delete runtime. Yes. Now I am reconnecting it. I am reconnecting it. connecting. Okay, now let me run this. No. Okay, sorry, I have to comment this, otherwise again I have to do. Now x sum is 50. Okay, no, why this not a problem. Sum is 5 and 6, sum this thing. Now this one I have connected. Let me save this and disconnect and delete runtime. Yes. Reconnect. Int object node, because again I have to reconnect. This issue comes here. Disconnect and delete runtime, manage thing, local runtime. I think sum is okay. Let me comment all these lines. X sum, disconnect and delete runtime. Yes, I have to start it again. So that is how, this is how. But then what is the best way to work on this? Not to use the built-in functions. It is better when you are describing a variable and all, use the underscore. Say my sum. Suppose I want to sum of some marks. I want to sum of my sum, my ID, my this thing. In fact, this is what I usually do, and it is always better instead of just data or a integer like that. Instead of that, use a descriptive variable and also use underscores to tell it. So somebody else, when he reads the code, he can also easily understands. Let me see now the reconnect will work, but this code will absolutely perfect in your Visual Studio Code. Let me RAM. Okay, let's see. No, it is still, I think I need to restart it. X sum. Okay, let me just copy this, delete this cell. Okay, cell delete may not help me much. Let me see if this is working. Okay, now let me put a code here. X is, oh sorry, here I missed it. It's, I have to put a list here, print X. Okay, fine. So this is what was I have to give a list and then take the sum of it. So here it is fine. Now you can check this. Okay, let's the same technique for the variables. Now next we will see the functions, but not today. It's already little late, and tomorrow again we'll continue. My request is please put your questions. Here I don't know how many, any question is there. Let me just see this. No, there is no questions. I'll request you, please put your questions here in the chat box. We'll try to answer that also. And you, if you have any doubts, suggestion or any ideas, put it here. Almost now every day we are coming live, so you can join at any time. I am trying as far as possible at 7 p.m. but sometime today there was a issue, so it was a bit late. So please subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon so you'll be notified as and when we are adding new tutorials. We are frequently uploading videos also, not only we are coming on live. Hope you enjoyed this, and please share this with your friends also. Thank you for watching.